Bottom Line Podcast. I'm Jimmy Finizzi alongside Neil Villapiano. We hope you're doing well. As always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to take a listen. We really do appreciate it. Before we get started, questions, opinions, Twitter and Instagram at Bottomline WMCX, and on Twitter at The NVP Show, hashtag Bottomline. Voice message on the Anchor app or at anchor.fm. And if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a like and a comment down below. It helps out tremendously. And please make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss a single episode. And please make sure you subscribe on all audio listening platforms. Just include Jimmy when searching for this podcast. Neil, first of all, before we get started, to introduce our very special guest that we have, whom you can see if you're watching on YouTube. How are you doing this week?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, Jimmy. Thank you. This week has been kind of interesting, especially with the weather being the way that it is. So obviously when the weather is like this, it's a little bit harder to, find the motivation, find the energy, push yourself. But nonetheless, continuing to put out good content. I actually had an interview with the TV broadcaster of the New York Islanders and Brendan Burke on Monday.
What?
I had a chance to talk to him for like a half hour, 45 minutes. So that was.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
But you're a Rangers fan, so I don't know why you're like, oh, I hate you.
I actually like listening to him. He's tremendous.
You would hate me if I interviewed Sam Rosen. You'd really hate me then. You'd really hate me then. But
If that day ever comes, I will.
Oh yeah.
Never mind.
I know.
That's not for the air.
But I'm obviously continue to do stuff for Mofobo Network, as you can see behind me, my own podcast. I'm gonna put out another episode later on today. Just doing a bunch of stuff. Still working with the Hockey Podcast Network. Obviously got another really great episode coming up this week. And I'm also continuing to write in my book, which as of right now should be probably ready by, I would say, Black Friday.
Beautiful. Nice job.
Book will be out very soon.
Nice. Well, yeah, despite the weather, which is not friendly here today at the Jersey Shore, you know what? It's always important to find something productive to do. I happen to agree with that. But anyway, Neil, I'm really, really excited for this episode today.
Real quick question, Jimmy.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, how about you? How are you doing? How's your week been?
Honestly, it could be better. I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but you know what? I'm trying to make the most of every day and just trying to live out as positive as I can. But thank you for asking.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, thank you for asking, though. I appreciate that. But no, anyway, though, I'm really, really excited for this episode, as not only do we have a very special guest joining us, but she is also one of my old college friends. She is one of my former classmates. We used to work together at Hawk TV and WMCX at our alma mater, which is Monmouth University. And now she's doing her own thing with Sports Radio WTAR, which is based in Virginia. We are pleased to have on my good friend, Lexi Swat. Lexi, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. How have you been and how's everything going with you?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for letting me come and hang out with you guys this morning. When you shot me a message, I was like almost immediately like, oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. I'm doing pretty good. I don't know if you can hear, I have a little bit of a cough due to cold. Not really a cold, more than just allergies.
Yeah.
When you got a schnoz like this, the sinuses, when during this time of year isn't fun. This is my second fall in Hampton Roads. I like how you didn't say Norfolk, because when I first got here and when I was first telling people that I was moving to Norfolk, Virginia, I thought it was pronounced Norfolk. And then I had a girlfriend who Norfolk is home to the largest naval base in the world. And so there's a lot, if you know someone who has served in the Navy, you likely know someone who has served in Norfolk.
Right.
And she grilled me about it. She was like, what did you just say? Oh my gosh, you cannot say that. Sit down here right now. And I had to have like this little mini session of how to actually pronounce where I was going to spend the rest of my life at here. You know what I mean? But I've been pretty good. I've lived here for a little over a year now. I moved last August, and I've been with Sports Radio 96.5 and the company that's owned that owns Sports Radio 96.5, Sinclair Communications, since the start of the year, back in early January, and I started in their promotions department, and that was really cool because I got to bomb around and represent the company Sinclair Communications owns 5 local radio stations, so we get to represent all 5 of them, and they also own some stations out in Indiana and California and Texas, and so they just acquired a new station in Austin, Texas. Which is like a new like new music now radio format, where it's a really cool concept where once a song turns a year old, once we get to that point where the station's old enough, they're gonna pretty much play like a happy birthday bit and then never play that song again. So when they say new music, they're actually playing, new music. Awesome. So to be able to put to have a role in the whole gambit of radio has been a lot of fun. And of course, my background is in sports, and to be able to get to do that and help grow this sports station with all the content that I'm working on has been a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. And we're very happy for you. And we're very happy that you more than agreed to come on with us and deal with our nonsense for the next 45 minutes or so. We really do appreciate it. Now, here's the thing, though.
If I'm not mistaken, by the way.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Neil.
I actually have heard of Norfolk because there are 2 specific sports teams that I think are based in that area. I think one of them is the Admirals, which is the part of the ECHL, and also the Tide, who for a long time were the AAA affiliate of the New York Mets. I don't know what they're affiliate of now at this point, but that's what I remember from because I think Tim Tebow might have actually played for them for a little while there.
He did.
Yeah, you're right. The Tides are down the street this way, and the Admirals are down the street that way.
Okay.
So wow. Okay.
Yeah, because the water's that way and downtown's that way.
When you said the name, I was like, wait, I've heard of sports teams that are based in that area. So
right.
I remember that now. I guess the one quick question that I have is, how far are you from Virginia Tech? That's the question that I'm trying to figure out here.
Virginia Tech, I think Blacksburg is probably 3 hours and change. Yeah, and what's cool with Sports Radio 96.5 is we are the station for UVA, and then the other we have another talk station, WNIS, that carries Virginia Tech. So even if they both have the same kickoff time, UVA, you can listen to us on our wavelength, and then you can just move the dial over to WNIS, which is more of like your traditional political talk radio station. And then on Saturdays, it's Virginia Tech. And then when basketball starts to get started as well.
Right.
We don't even really know if basketball is happening this year, but
I actually just covered. So this is more of a college area than a professional area. So we have Norfolk State, we have Old Dominion, Hampton, Christopher Newport, which is a Division III school, but all of those schools haven't been playing just yet, and they've all opted for their football seasons to start in the spring. But we just covered January 2nd is when at least Norfolk State's basketball season is going to start. And the way that the MEAC has implemented, which also, fun fact, the MEAC front offices are here in Norfolk, right down the street, down that way.
Oh, okay.
And they've implemented that it's big enough that there's 2 divisions, so each team will get 16 games with the other teams in their division. So for protocols and safety, they won't get a regular season game against each team in the league, but definitely at least 2 in their division. And then the tournament will start March 8th. So that's if everything goes to plan, if there's a vaccine, if the NFL and college football it runs as successfully as it kind of has been right now,
right.
I see that definitely happening. Oh my gosh.
It definitely hasn't been smooth sailing for any sport so far, but they seem to be pushing through somehow, which is fantastic.
I mean, I'm ecstatic just because the Big Ten is finally back. And
yes. And by the way, Neil, how about Rutgers getting a big win their first week?
Yes, Rutgers with Greg Schiano finally back in the fold, 38-27 against Michigan State, and now They're on FS1 this week, taking on a top 15 team in the country in Indiana, who just upset.
Oh boy.
So, I'm pretty ecstatic, and I really wish I could be there. Obviously, I would love to be at the game, but
Right.
if everything, like she was mentioning, if everything continues to go the way that it's been going with the way protocols have been, I really do think that it's possible to actually have a college basketball season, albeit it won't be the same. Then again, nothing has been the same since, obviously this virus hit us.
We're just taking what we can get at this point.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely, yes.
Because right now, at the time of this recording, the only sport that we have going for us really throughout the week usually is football, whether it's college or the NFL. Like today, we have Thursday Night Football. We also probably have a college game, I would imagine, if not maybe tomorrow.
Right.
And Saturday and Sunday is college football, but throughout the week, no baseball anymore. World Series ended. Stanley Cup Finals ended about a month ago. NBA Finals also about a month ago. So, now we're really into that point where we were a few months ago when we didn't have any sports really going on. So, anything that goes up is happening. I mean, I've watched more field hockey than I've ever watched in my entire life, and I cannot get enough of field hockey because these women are better than some ice hockey players I've seen. Like they have more skills on grass than these guys have on ice. So
wow.
And my sister played field hockey, and she was the one that kind of convinced me, like, oh, why don't you watch field hockey? I'm like, all right, cool. There's so many women that just in sports in general that are just so unbelievably talented that if you actually pay attention and watch, you realize just how good they actually are. Like,
absolutely.
Like what the WNBA was the biggest example to me. There are some ballers in the WNBA, like really good players that honestly could probably actually compete in the NBA.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of NBA players credit their ball handling skills and knowledge and what they do to watch on WNBA players. And that's been they've been crediting WNBA players for well over 10 years now about just how sheer determined they are and how technically talented they are. Because, you watch WNBA games and some guy walks, 4 steps and the ref's like, oh, I guess I missed that. But in the WNBA, it's all consistent, like by the book work. And that's for me, at least that's what makes it fun. But it's funny that you brought up hockey, because I was actually, so when I went to Monmouth, my intention was to play field hockey.
I do remember you talking about that.
Yeah, Monmouth was the only school that I had not gotten an offer from to play field hockey, but I wanted to go so bad that I was like, I'll walk on. And so I walked on, and then by the time it was time for me to start, I was already deep in the throes of Monmouth athletics and Hawk TV, and I knew that I was good to play college field hockey, but I wasn't good enough to make a career out of it. I was like, why don't I do what I can make a career out of? And it was a tough decision, don't get me wrong, but obviously it was the right one.
Hey, sometimes
absolutely.
we find our calling in the most unexpected areas. I mean,
there you go.
I think that's
there you go.
I thought I was going to be a professional athlete when I was a kid, and even when I was in high school, and I didn't realize until I went to Hofstra University, I actually realized that I could become, a sports broadcaster. So it kind of works out in funny ways, and but that's really great that you found your calling, and it's worked out very, very well.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We're very, very happy for you. And again, we can't thank you enough for coming on with us to hear our nonsense for the next 45 minutes. But anyway, so just real quick here before we get into more of this fun conversation. Lexi, before we get started here, Neil and I normally have trivia that we do every week. So his turn was last week. It's my turn this week. Neil, I think I have a good one here. And in case this one is too easy, I have 2. So, and Lexi, if you don't mind, I would like you to participate in this as well, if you're prepared for it.
All right.
All right. So this first one I have pertains to the World Series, actually. So here it is. Corey Seager became the 9th Dodger to win World Series MVP since Orel Hershiser in 1988. He also became the first shortstop to win the award since 2010. Who won it that year?
Oh, I know this answer. I know this answer. I think.
All right. Well, since I'm a gentleman, Neil.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to let Lexi go first.
You're so confident. I don't even. That's over my head.
No,
this is all you. Go for it.
All right.
So you want me to answer it?
You go for it. Yeah.
I believe the answer is Edgar Renteria of the San Francisco Giants.
Lexi, what's your guess?
Definitely wasn't. I would say Renteria because I would have no idea.
Yeah, I anticipated that'd be too easy. That is correct. It was Edgar Renteria. And fun fact, he also, in that series, he also had a 3-run home run off of Cliff Lee that was the eventual game winner for the Giants in the 2010 World Series. So yes, I anticipated that would be too easy. So yes, I came prepared and have another question for you too,
All right,
if
cool.
you're ready for it.
Let's go.
Here it is. And it's also a World Series question, by the way. What player holds the record for most World Series home runs?
Oh, gee, fine. I know this answer too, so I'm just gonna wait.
Oh, do you?
Oh, I do.
All right. Well,
I do.
Lexi, you want to take a guess first?
Yes, because I'm certainly not as confident. So I'm gonna throw.
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna say, just to give him, because he's a local kid here, I'm gonna say Brandon Lau because he just had a really impressive World Series. Not a postseason, but a really impressive World Series. So I know it's not correct, but I need to throw in some of our local.
Hey, you know what? Any guess is better than no guess. Neil, go ahead.
So this is most home runs in a World Series or a postseason?
In a World Series.
World Series. Because I think the logical choice would probably be Randy Arozarena. But I think he only had 2 in the World Series. Because I know I think he had 3 or 4.
He had 10 all postseason, but Randy Arozarena is not the answer.
But it's not him, right? So that was why I was as confident as I was, because I thought what I originally heard was that you said postseason. I was be like, okay. In the World Series,
yes.
I think it might be Chase Utley. I want to say it's Chase Utley of the Philadelphia Phillies.
That is incorrect. The answer, you have to go all the way back to the 60s for this guy. Mickey Mantle. He played in 12 Fall Classics, holds the record for most World Series home runs with 18. He also holds World Series records for most runs, 42, runs batted in, 40, and total bases, 123.
I thought Yogi Berra had the record for most runs batted in.
No.
But I guess Mickey Mantle broke his record, I'm assuming.
yeah, exactly. But
well,
you know what? At least you both gave guesses.
Right, and he played in what, 12 World Series, you said?
Yep, he played in 12.
That makes sense, yeah. I mean, and he was also a switch hitter, which made him be way better than most hitters. But,
yes, yep.
I mean,
exactly.
I'm a switch hitter, born and bred. So I kind of, I always have a soft spot for switch hitters.
There you go. But
I will argue that even though, like, Brandon Lau, I think, had 3 home runs in the series and, 7 RBIs. That was the only 3 hits he had the entire World Series.
Right.
I think he was 3 for 24.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he struggled because he was a hoss during the regular season,
right.
And the postseason, kind of happened, and it didn't work out so great. But anytime that I can throw in some local love, I'll do that.
Yeah, no, that's more than fine. Like I always say, any guess is better than no guess at all. So nice job.
I'll so who knows? Maybe we'll get more in the future.
Yeah, you never know. Exactly.
I mean, if you want to talk about postseason, if it's going to go the way it's going to go, Randy Arozarena is going to break every single record by the time. In the next 5 years.
Right. That kid is an absolute stud. But before we actually get into some World Series talk, since we're fresh off of that, and by the way, if you did not see the last episode I did in regards to the World Series recap, be sure you go check that out. Lexi, I actually want to ask you kind of a personal question here to get started. How did your love for sports first come about?
Yeah, I grew up playing sports in the world of sports, and I think it stems from my parents when they were growing up. My mom was one of 4, and my dad was one of 10. And my mom's parents worked all the time, and my grandma, so my dad's mom, was a single mom who was an educator. She was actually part of the stepping stones to help facilitate pretty much assisted education for kids that need a little bit more. So to implement IEPs, having like the special education format, she was a huge part in the school district that I grew up in to help kind of format that. And it's a huge pillar in upstate New York, that people travel, they commute their children to come to the school district, and a lot of it had to do with her, which was awesome, but she wasn't home a ton. And having 10 kids, you need a babysitter, but when money's tight, you just send them to sports camp, because that's just the way to do it. So I think my parents really enjoying their childhood, because they were so involved and immersed in sports, was a big reason why they got my sister and I involved really early on. We did the Little League Soccers when we were little kids, and then when we started to have opinions for ourselves. I remember my dad, I was 7 years old, and my dad woke me up on a Saturday morning, and he was like, "Do you want to go play basketball?" And I was like, "Sure." And that was kind of, for me at least, that was how it really like spearheaded my passion. And then, basketball was we call basketball season, like, we don't have a winter, we have basketball season, because when I was growing up,
there you go.
We didn't ski or anything, because we were playing. So that was a huge part of my childhood, specifically basketball. But, I played field hockey as well, softball too. So I was always playing literally year round. It was, fall, winter, spring in high school. And then in the summer, I played all three, whether it was a club or travel team, or just pickup or training with our coaches from high school. So that's pretty much where I started. But the idea, and I knew very early on that I wanted to stay involved in sports when I grew up. And I remember we did a career test when I was in middle school. And I realized, and that was also the point where I realized that I wasn't big enough to be a starting forward in the WNBA. So I should probably reassess what I'm going to do. Right. And I remember it popped up as like a physical therapist, and math and science are not my forte, but I can talk until the sun goes down. And even back then I was super creative, and I really enjoyed like the building aspect. So when you're building projects and creating boards, I really liked all of that. So that was when I kind of found the route of sports media and production, and figured out that, there is an outlet that you can be able to pursue what you want to do that doesn't feel like a traditional 9-to-5 that you have to do because you have to pay bills.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Neil, this is a fact. No offense to you, because I know you are a huge basketball fan. I do not think I have met a much more bigger basketball fan than this girl right here. You can come to her with literally any basketball question. She has the answer. So I'm glad you gave your full. I'm glad you kind of shared that story about how you and your dad played basketball. I think that's absolutely amazing how you guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, even so, we did AAU, and he was my coach from 6th grade until my senior year. So it was definitely a really big. And my sister played on that team too. So it was a really big family affair. And I have an aunt who played at RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic. It's a D3 school up in New York. And she actually still has records that have yet to have been broken, that are now 30 plus years old, because, they were all super talented. I should also mention that I only have one aunt who is not at least 5'10". So they're all 5'10" or taller.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, like, growing up, like, hell yeah, I'm going to be at least 6 foot. And then I got to 8th grade, and I just stopped growing at 5'9", and I was like, I just threshold. But yeah, so and they weren't, it wasn't just a necessity thing. They all truly enjoyed what they did. And my dad's side, especially, all 10 of them, they all played something different. Like, my uncle swam. My dad was a football player and also played tennis. I had aunts at one point back in the 70s, for Johnstown softball, the starting catcher, pitcher, and center fielder were all SWATs. They were all on the same team. So they were all really good. And that was back in the time before Title IX, where there wasn't as much equal representation
Right.
on the playing fields. So there are a few aunts that my dad, like, seriously, to this day, he'll say, like, if they had the same opportunities that you had, they would have played in the league. They would have been Olympians. And I actually have another aunt, my Aunt Marnie, she did a Grand Slam, which means she ran 4 100-mile ultra marathons were you're like running for literally 100 miles at a time. She did 4 of those in a year, and she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. They were all just really big, I guess, movers and shakers. And to be part of that, to be even part of that family, even though I never did anything as great as a lot of them did, is really cool. It's a lot of fun, especially when we all get together, to get to, like, listen to their stories and what they were able to experience.
No, that's awesome. But I have a quick question here. Does that mean that everybody was a part of a SWAT team?
The SWAT team, yeah, that's what it is. It's the SWAT team. I don't think anyone, it's a running joke. And actually, when my sister and I played, we were both on the varsity basketball team together. We were only together for one year.
Yeah.
But there was, and we didn't play at the same time often, but there was one time where I dished her an assist and she hit a 3, and my parents started like a SWAT team chant. And and people followed through with it. And I remember it was the corniest thing. It was like, Mom, Dad, why are you doing that? But it's funny, and I don't think anyone really has embraced the idea of, like, yeah, we're the SWAT team, like I have, when it comes to the show that I have on Saturday mornings here on Sports Radio 96.5. It's more of just like an inner family joke. But even
I got you.
Even my even my my friends that I have that I still keep in touch with, at when I was in Fort Lauderdale and when I was in Manhattan, sometimes, like, just to joke around, they called me SWAT team, which was fun.
I like that a lot. Now, Neil and I have always been an advocate that more women should be in the sports industry. If you are a woman and if you know sports, Neil and I have always said that you absolutely deserve to work in that industry. Obviously, you look at the women in sports right now. You look at the women like Beth Mowins, Holly Rowe, Doris Burke, the late, great Pat Summitt, God rest her soul. I can go on and on and on. There's a whole laundry list of great, great women who have worked in this sports industry. For you, what does it mean for you to be a woman working in the sports industry? And what would you say to young women out there who want to be in this industry?
I think for me, at least, knowing what I wanted to do very early on, it means, I wouldn't say literally, but very much so everything, in the sense that I've worked very hard to get where I am now. I had a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys that I think happens for everyone, but I think that sometimes that the peaks are a little higher and the valleys are a little deeper because you're a woman, you know what I mean? And Doris Burke actually was quoted this week saying, if I at all make the path for more women to have careers in the sports world, then that'll mean more to me than anything I've done in my career. And I think that is so huge, because especially there's this narrative where you need to, it's like, this is like, there's one position open and we all have to compete for it. And if you're a woman, like, good luck. Well, that's not really the case, especially now that the world of sports is expanding. You've got such a strong, like, social media presence is imperative right now.
Right.
The XFL is coming back. There's a whole new soccer team. There's a whole new soccer, explosion that's happening right now, especially in LA, that opportunity is always going to be, available. And it's about, not giving up and being able to take advantage of what's been given to you. But at the same time, knowing, what is meant for you, if that makes sense. I guess
absolutely.
Any advice that I have is, it's gonna be really hard, but everything that you're going to have that's fun, that you're never going to forget about, that you're going to feel very, very proud of yourself for the things that you're doing, means so much more than anything that is going to be hard that you face.
I guess
Wow.
if you don't mind, Jimmy, I do have a question.
No, please
My
go ahead, Neil.
my question to you is simply that: do you feel that over the last couple of years, because a lot of the talk, not just with women in sports, but just women equality and just a lot giving women as many opportunities as men, do you feel that whole thing of women equality has improved over the last couple of years, just in general? And if so, in what ways do you think it's improved? And also, what can we still do to make it better so that women in general just have as many rights in the workplace and in careers as men do?
No, I think that's a great question. And in a couple kind of parts there, but I think absolutely that the quality of life for women, particularly in the workplace, has gotten much better. I don't think we're where we need to be, because women still make 73 cents for every dollar that a man makes.
Yeah.
Which I know that's a stat that might frustrate or and annoy someone, but the facts are the facts. And I think we are now in this position where we do have more people that are listening, because that was the biggest problem forever. It was like, well, essentially, like, what do you want from us? And then with something with the Time's Up and the Me Too movements really pushing women's I guess ability to feel confident to share their stories, whether they be they be simple or traumatic, but being able to feel like they had a place to say what they needed to. I think that's been the biggest part of what's made huge leaps and bounds when it comes to women's representation in the workplace, or just in society as a whole. And I know that that women aren't the only ones that are going through it right now. Like, our whole country is essentially and literally in some places still on fire, because there is no, there's, at the end of the day, as much as we want to say there's equal representation, we still aren't there yet, and there's a lot we need to do to get there. And I think that the crowd of people that are yelling for change is so much louder than the people that are saying, we're fine where we are. You know what I mean? And just as long as we just stay consistent and we just keep our head down and keep moving, that's when we'll eventually get to where we need to be in a world of, everyone is truly at its core, an equal voice. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to see these kids, these 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds holding signs in the air at protests and rallies. And that's really cool, because now at least for me, having, of the 10 siblings that my dad is a part of, 8 of them are women. So I grew up with a lot of really strong, confident, successful women that I've never not lived a time where, you are exactly who you are, and that's absolutely fine. Whatever you do, just be a good one. And it doesn't matter that you're a woman. You can be just as successful. You can be in a room and you're the only woman and you can handle it. But as long as you're picking up the women that are behind you or that are younger than you, so that way you're not just getting in there, you're also leaving the door open for other women too. And that's been, now that I'm starting to find myself in the role of, someone that can have that opportunity, that can provide that opportunity, is something that I'm really excited about, because I've looked forward to that for a while, because I think a lot of it does have to do with, I got to put my piggyback on and I got to help everyone else too. Right. And I think that's just as important, as long as you have to do all the things, just like working in sports, you have to wear a lot of hats. We have to be doing those things too. We have to be growing ourselves, and we have to make sure that we're talking and we're being a mentor and we're talking to our mentors, to be able to get us where we need to go.
Wow. I really, really like that answer. And Neil, that was a great question you asked. Thank you for asking that. And thank you for answering that, Lexi. We really appreciate that. So
important. I think honestly, when you think about it, I've met a ton of women in the sports industry since I started working in it. And what you end up realizing if you really focus and listen, because I think listening is a very important thing, so you realize that there are a lot of women out there that are just as talented as some of the men. Even watching stuff on TV and seeing it on ESPN, Fox, you know, ABC, NBC, CBS, no, like, it doesn't matter. If you really listen and understand what they're about and what they have to say, you really start to understand that they know just as much as men do and can do the job just as well as men do. And the thing that always frustrates me is the constant thing that I hear from men in particular, that it's, oh, she got that job because she's very good looking. You know, that's usually the typical answer, which is really a joke. It really is at this point, because you just understand that it shouldn't be that way. First of all, it shouldn't be that way. It should be that you need to evaluate people by the content of their character, not by anything else other than that, and knowing the fact that they understand what's going on. And there are a lot of women that I interviewed a woman by the name of Aaliyah Funchal a few months ago, and we talked, and really listening to her and her story and what she's done to get to where she is. She's just an absolute go-getter with a ton of knowledge in sports, a tremendous personality, very charismatic, and, you know, she's just a very likable individual. And I think that there are a lot of women in the sports industry, in the workplace, no matter where, that have those abilities, that if we just actually open our eyes for once and really evaluate, see, and listen to these women, they bring a lot to the table that can make not only the workplace better, but also just make the world a better place as a whole.
Amen. Amen to that, Neil. Amen. That's why I always say we need a lot more common sense in this country, but I'm not going to go there because this is not the podcast for this, but I digress.
We got a whole week for the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of common sense, you might want to ask Kevin Cash of the Tampa Bay Rays if he had
that was
great transition, Neil.
The rest of the world yelling at him right now, saying, "Why?"
Yeah, great transition, Neil, because we were just about to get into that. So I know I gave my whole thing about the World Series recap, especially with what happened with Blake Snell. Neil, I know you're probably going to have a ton to say on your podcast, the MoFobo Network podcast, and go subscribe to that, by the way, if you're not already. But Lexi, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on what exactly happened. I know everybody was ripping Kevin Cash and saying, "Oh, you're letting the analytics get in the way. Open your eyes for once." Blake Snell out there is absolutely dealing. He struck out 9 batters in 5 innings. He gives up 1 base hit to Austin Barnes, and you're going to take him out after that. Like, what the heck is he doing? So I guess a couple of questions here. A, your initial reaction to when that happened, and B, about the Dodgers winning. Did Clayton Kershaw finally erase his demons? Yes or no?
My initial thought when that was happening was probably like everyone else, like, what in tarnation is Kevin Cash doing right now? Because yes, there is a lot of analytics when it comes to especially baseball, but sports as a whole. But you also, there's no way to calculate human emotion and being present and in the moment. And when you Thank you. Yeah, and especially when you've, like, there's no reason, at least for me and what I've seen, for anyone to believe that Snell was going to blow it. You know what I mean? He looked like he had the lasers on and he was ready to go and he was focused, and that's something that you can't calculate, and you have to just, especially in something so that has been put on such a pillar for the history of the United States, you know what I mean, when it comes to baseball, and how important it is for us.
Right.
And how everyone is watching, and how you just kind of like become a different form. I think Kevin Cash robbed Blake Snell of having that opportunity, that moment of, you know, he was great. I don't want to take anything away from him. Like, he still had that moment of greatness.
Oh, right,
what
right.
we could have seen and what would have solidified probably and likely one of the more iconic moments when you think of the World Series and in the history, especially with the Rays, that, you know, they don't really generate a lot of money for the MLB. I mean, maybe the tide will turn now that they've made it to the World Series, and now they've got a really great group of guys that look like they really enjoy spending their time with each other. They look like they're fun coworkers.
Right.
They enjoy their time with each other. So I'd hope a bunch of them, at least the good core and the chunk of them, stay together, and that, you know, this isn't the end of us seeing the Rays in the postseason in a very entertaining fashion as well. And I say this as a Yankee fan who thinks, like, well, first of all, we're still 11 years since our last championship, so I'm losing my marbles over here. But also, that being said, like, I would rather see, you know, really great players that have just kind of made a name for themselves in no time, just because they've shown us right out of the gate how talented they are, and then throw them together and it becomes something wonderful. And I just think Kevin Cash robbed not only Blake, but his whole team of that opportunity. And it's funny that you teed up my thoughts on the Dodgers winning, because from the beginning I said, I don't really care who wins. That would be really cool for Tampa. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch because it's, you know, one of my favorite times of the year, you know, October. Mm-hmm. And like, it would be cool if Tampa won, especially because the Yankees should have been there, weren't, because they were trash when they needed to be great.
To put it very lightly, yes.
I'll say what needs to be said, you know? Steinbrenner went on Michael Kay show and said essentially the same thing, except for he paid a little bit more than I do, so he had to be a little more formal. But what I had said about the Dodgers was that would be pretty cool for Clayton Kershaw to finally get there, you know what I mean? So I'd say yes. I think he actually, because he hasn't been, it's not a secret that he hasn't been great in the postseason in the past,
right?
Especially in the World Series. And I think he was able to be that team player that was able to contribute in a positive manner. We didn't get any memes of Clayton Kershaw this year sitting in the dugout by himself, all sad.
Thank God.
So I would say, yeah. I think that I think this finally gives him that, not the notoriety because he already has that, but that will solidify him to probably make, you know, his ballot for the Hall of Fame. He won't wait as long as maybe some other people have.
Neil, please feel free to respond if you'd like.
What do you want me to start with?
Wherever direction you want to go is fine.
Well, look, first of all, I felt that the Rays were going to score a lot more runs than they did in Game 6, especially with Randy Arozarena hitting a home run in the first inning. It kind of felt like, to me, when he did that, it was like, okay, the Rays are locked and loaded tonight. Like, they're ready to go. Like, you could see the emotion coming off of Arozarena, you know, off of everybody in the Rays dugout. Blake Snell already going to go out there with a lead. And
it's infectious.
Exactly. There's so much emotion that goes into this, because these guys are human beings, first of all. Like, that's the thing you have to remember. Blake Snell goes out there and is pitching a gem. The Dodgers are not even coming close to hitting anything half decently off of Blake Snell. You go to the 6th inning, and we were listening to John Smoltz in particular talking about the fact that I understand that the Rays, this is what they've done all year. They constantly go to the bullpen. This is just how they do things. But when you have a guy like this pitching as well as he is, you don't screw that up. You don't damp the fire down. You let it burn. You let it go as far as you possibly can. He gives up a base hit to Barnes to start the 6th inning. Okay, not a problem. But what I was fearful of when he gave up that hit was that Kevin Cash was going to come out of the dugout and take him out. And that's what he did.
Yep.
And you saw Blake Snell's reaction. You knew, first of all, he's pissed off he gave up a leadoff hit. Second of all, he knew that most likely he didn't have any sort of, lease when it comes to, giving up a hit, but still being allowed to stay out there. Like, I haven't seen a decision like that made as poorly as it was since Grady Little kept Pedro Martinez in Game 7 in 2003. I think it was 2003. When he left Pedro Martinez in there way too long. This was the complete opposite. Blake Snell had 73 pitches through 5 innings. He could have easily gone out there and pitched all 9 innings. He was on pace to do that. There was no, even he could have pitched even maybe 8 1/3 for all, if you really wanted to go that way. But nonetheless, he takes him out, right? And that's the first thing that was annoying. The second thing is that you put in your worst bullpen arm in Anderson. You don't put in Fairbanks. You don't put in anyone else. You put in Anderson.
Well, where was Diego Castillo?
That's one of the great questions of that game. Don't know what happened there. But Anderson comes in, and 2 pitches later, Mookie Betts, who had struggled the entire game, he had struck out, I think, twice up until that point, gets a double down the line. And if it wasn't for the weird configuration of the sidewalls there at that stadium, that would have easily been an RBI double. They would have scored. But nonetheless, it's second and third, nobody out. Right then and there, you knew that the Rays were going to blow this game. And you knew Blake Snell was probably pissed off as hell, sitting in the dugout saying, why am I not still in this game? Why are we in this position? Like, really? Sure enough, wild pitch, tie game. What happens next? Seager comes up, ground ball to first. G-Man Choi has the ball, throwing it home. But because Mookie Betts already was halfway between third and home, he was scoring no matter what. He was going to beat that throw.
Yep.
And once you saw them take the lead like that, the Rays had no confidence. Their energy level went from here to down here. Like they went in their minds and they said, we're not winning this game. And Kevin Cash did nothing to change that momentum. He didn't get the team together and say, hey guys, forget about it. That's on me. I'm sorry. But let's just, we got a couple more innings to go here. We got this. The bats of the Rays went cold as hell, including a Rosarena. They just completely shut down. And then Mookie Betts hits a home run, which gave them an extra run in the 8th inning off of Fairbanks. And you knew that game was over. And I said it on social media, and I'll say it here. I know that the Rays are not going to do this, but what Kevin Cash did was 100% a fireable offense.
I 100% agree.
That game, he cost them a chance to actually go and win a world championship. This is a Rays team that hadn't been to the World Series since 2008, when they had no business being in the World Series, as they proved. They got killed by a much better Philadelphia Phillies team. Then they go several years where they make the playoffs, but they're not very competitive. Then they go back to being mediocre to bad. Then they get to this year in a 60-game season, kick absolute mofobo from the first game to the 60th game. They beat the Yankees because they were much more prepared mentally for that than the Yankees were. The Yankees just completely shot themselves in the foot. And everybody on that team is liable for that. But that I've already discussed that. I'm not getting into that.
Yeah.
But the Tampa Bay Rays go into this. They blew a 3-0 lead against the Astros, still managed to win Game 7. You go to the World Series. You had a crazy Game 4 where Brett Phillips, in his first and only at-bat of the entire postseason, wins the game for the Rays. You go to Game 5, you play like dog manure. And then you go into Game 6, and you had it. The Dodgers had given up. They were throwing out so many bullpen arms because they were already preparing that they had to play Game 7. They were already prepared for that. But Kevin Cash did the one thing he should not have done. And I liked that Noah Syndergaard of the Mets tweeted out during that game. Can we call the manager?
I love that. I love that.
That was probably the best tweet I saw that evening.
It was an absolute joke. So good for the Dodgers, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, thank God. It's more of just a relief thing. It's like when Tampa Bay won the Stanley Cup. It's like, okay, now we can focus on something else. It's about damn time with the talent that you have on that team. It's about damn time you got it done. Because I mentioned to you, Jimmy, off the air before we started that this was the best chance the Dodgers had to win a world championship.
Absolutely.
They lost to an Astros team that, quite frankly, cheated. They lost to the Red Sox team who, quite frankly, cheated because nobody could tell me that Steve Pearce was going to become the second coming of Babe Ruth.
Oh, my God.
And then they lose in the divisional round to the Cardinals or whatever? No.
Yep.
I don't remember what they lost to, but it doesn't matter. They don't even get close to the World Series last year. They go into this year, they're playing the Rays. Far better than. Better pitching, better hitting, better fielding. They were better in every single thing. Except one thing. The Rays had the juju going from the start of the playoffs to that point. And that's why we were tied at 2 games apiece going into Game 5. Because you couldn't explain logically how the Rays were able to come back in the 9th inning and win that game. You couldn't explain it other than the baseball gods did not want the Dodgers to take a 3-1 lead.
Well, nor could you explain how they almost blew a 3-0 series lead to the Astros.
Because the baseball gods like to toy with people's emotions.
That's what happened.
Other than that, yeah.
Other than that. But the bottom line is
that's just the energy of October.
There you go. There you go.
Analytics. I'm sorry. There are people that like to defend it. There are people that say that it has its place. It has no place in sports.
No.
100% no place in sports, in my opinion, because every time you forget about the emotionality of the game, you completely forget about it. You know why? You want to hear a big reason analytics is BS? Why is Aaron Judge continuously batting second in the Yankees lineup every day? Because of analytics. Because of analytics. The emotionality of it, you bat him third or fourth because he's arguably your best player. But no, because analytics is so big and every nerd, no disrespect to the nerds out there, but every nerd wants to be involved in sports. They do this. They put in these stupid statistics like exit velocity. Who the hell cares? He hit the ball. It went far. There you go. There's nothing analytical about that. But the bottom line is this. You let analytics take over the emotionality of your thinking, and as a result, you became a robot. You just said, oh, this is what we've been doing all year long. This is what we'll do in Game 6. We have to keep doing this. Like, that's literally what was going on in Kevin Cash's mind. And as a result, they lost the game, and they lost the World Series. So the Rays, if you want to blame somebody, blame Kevin Cash because he blew it. So there.
It's true.
Well, I'm sure it'll be coming out like a house on fire on your own podcast about that, but that was probably a better explanation than I gave.
It's ridiculous. I mean, come on, man. And do we really think, like, let's be honest, guys. Do we really think the Rays next year are going to be, like, winning 95 to 100 games next year?
No.
That's my point. So the Rays had a chance. They had a chance to solidify themselves. And this is a team that still has the lowest attendance of any team in baseball.
It doesn't help that they play in a sorry excuse for a ballpark, which should be torn down to pieces.
I mean, they might as well move to Montreal and become the Expos.
Thank you!
Because honestly, they went to the World Series in 2008. They didn't sell out in the 2 games. Sell out series. How does one do that? How does one not sell out a World Series game? I mean, really? What are we doing?
We went to my sophomore year of college, for Easter, me and my sister, my cousin, and my aunt, we all went to Tampa for the women's Final Four. And we were just trying to figure out things to do. And it happened to be opening weekend. And we were just going to go to some sports bar and watch. But we saw that the Rays were hosting. And I can't remember. I think they were hosting the Orioles that year.
Okay.
And we were like, there's no way we're going to get tickets. We got tickets for like $10.
$10.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Opening day. Not even like opening weekend, like the first day of baseball. And they were like $10.
That's my point. Like they could go to the World Series for the next 4 years and they still will not sell out.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact, people were making jokes because there was no fans in the stands this year in baseball. There was no difference between that and a regular season for the Rays.
No,
exactly.
Because the crowd noise gave the same amount of noise that they would get in a normal season. And that's the problem. The fact you couldn't sell out a World Series game in 2008 is embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing in many ways. And just
you don't need to be a fan of a team to go to the World Series. That people don't even watch, and that goes on their bucket list, or they don't pay attention
Valid point.
Until the postseason. So that for people to not even care enough to go or to travel, because if you're a fanatic, like either of the three of us, like you'll drive if there's still tickets available. Like I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know I'm driving 4 hours to get to get to something.
I absolutely would.
I mean, it's like, let's be honest. The Dodgers basically played as the home team the entire World Series.
Yep.
I don't recall seeing one Rays fan. I'm sure there were, but I don't recall seeing very many.
The Rays probably had like 5 fans in attendance.
There are Dodgers fans that flew from LA
Yep.
to Texas to go to this World Series.
Yep.
There were fans of other teams. I saw like St. Louis Cardinals fans. Like they're not even in the they were barely in the playoffs to begin with. And their fans are there. The fact that there were barely any Tampa Bay Rays fans, it proves one thing and one thing only. Baseball does not work in a state like Florida because baseball isn't that popular in a state like Florida. Also, you're playing in a dome in Florida. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Honestly, I think hockey is the second most popular sport in that state because of the fact that you at least have a team that sells out when it comes to getting to the championship round.
And they just won the Stanley Cup.
Exactly. And the Super Bowl.
That's another thing I think of what the baseball gods did is they helped out the actual big guy upstairs because if the Rays won a World Series, I don't think it would have been as big of a celebration as the Lightning was. But still, like Florida needs all the help they can get right now taking care of, the pandemic because, their leadership is just like, everyone do what you want. The whole thing is fake. Nothing is real. It's all an enigma.
Yeah.
And then, I think another reason why a lot of Dodgers fans went to the World Series is because they were like, we got to get out of here. I've been in my apartment for the last 7 months. I need to do something.
Yep.
So they went to Texas.
Look,
There you go.
The Lakers won the NBA championship, and they're looking at it like, oh, we get a chance to see, like, we didn't get a chance to go see them win that championship, but we get a chance to maybe go see the Dodgers win a World Series. Why
In
not?
person.
Exactly. Yeah. And ticket, obviously it was at a certain capacity, and we get that. But still, people went to Texas in the middle of a pandemic to go watch this team win a world championship.
Who wants to go to Texas anyway?
Well, yeah, people. I mean, I ran.
I'm kidding.
I'm not going down that road again. But
no, don't. Please don't.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. But the thing is, like, going back to what I said about Tampa and like baseball. Look, people who go to Tampa or in Florida and live there, they live there because they're retired mostly.
Yep.
Like they're basically, like they're just trying to live out the rest of their time on this planet in at least a half decent state weather-wise. They don't really care whether or not.
Tax.
There you go. That's it.
They don't really
That's
care.
it.
No property tax, real cheap.
Yeah,
yep. There you go.
It's like. Even when the Yankees come to town, they don't sell out.
No.
Yankees. I mean,
and when they do, when it's a rarity, it's all Yankee fans. There's barely any Ray fans there.
Because also, guess what? There are a lot of Yankee fans that are retired that live in Florida.
Exactly.
So that's my point. Oh, and by the way, the Yankee spring training site is
in Florida.
Yeah, and that thing, it's like a party the entire time that the Yankees are in town. That place is open. When I lived in Fort Lauderdale, some friends and I tried to get tickets, and we worked for CBS, so we thought it wouldn't be difficult. Like we knew we were gonna have to pay, but it wouldn't be difficult. Right. And they were like, not a single shot. That's not happening.
Right.
Oh, dang it.
Right.
But seriously, and then even with the Marlins, it's the same situation. We went to a game and they played the Phillies. And the only reason why we went is because I had a lot of friends who are Phillies fans. And there were like the entire upper deck was abysmal. There was no one there. There was a solid 6 or 7 sections that had 0 fans. Exactly. And the only other couple sections had like sprinkles here and there,
Yeah. Well, another, a problem with that is that you're in a place like Miami, which, no disrespect, not a lot of wealthy people live in Miami. Especially where you have the ballpark. You have the ballpark in an area where it's a lot of middle to below middle class people that are not going to.
There's a huge disparity in Miami, for sure.
And they don't have the money to afford to go to a game. Yeah. And then you add on to that, which obviously not counting this year, you add on to the fact that the Marlins for many years have been a joke and have been terrible. Why go see them? I went to the first ever game ever played in that stadium. I went. It was a spring training game against the Yankees. I really thought that it would be packed. I really did, because it was a new stadium. The Marlins had all these like really big name guys, Jose Reyes, Burley, a bunch of guys. And they're playing the Yankees. I went to the upper deck, like you just mentioned. Nobody's there. And I'm sitting there like, You built this stadium. It cost you what? A couple $1 billion maybe? What the hell? You took people's tax money. Why not? And you have a team that sucks and a stadium that most people can't afford to even get into. So what are we doing here?
Exactly.
Like, that's my point as to why baseball just doesn't work in Florida, because even when the Marlins won World Series in 97 and 2003, they didn't sell out. And in 97, they were playing the Indians. In 2003, they were playing the Yankees. And they didn't sell out because people down there don't care. They don't NBA, like basketball and football is great in that state. Tremendous. Baseball, they have great talent that comes out of Florida, but do they stay in Florida? No.
Nope.
They go to other places to play baseball where it's much more focused and more people go watch. So if Tampa were to win the World Series, if they had gone on to win this World Series, like Lexi mentioned, it wouldn't have been as big as the Lightning parade. It wouldn't have. Maybe half of the fans of that team would have showed up. I'm going to be real.
And that's just because they want to go party.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Yep.
When the Lightning won the cup and they had that parade, yeah, people wanted to go party, but there's also some diehard hockey fans that live in the state of Florida, that live in Tampa. Mm-hmm. So they were like, this is awesome. So that's really what it was. So, LA wins the World Series and somebody lights a car on fire. That seems about
oh my God.
That seems classic LA. If the Rays had won the World Series, I don't know, maybe
we wouldn't be seeing any of that.
No, it'd probably be just, the biggest thing that they would get is a higher case of coronavirus cases. Not about
yeah.
The biggest highlight that they would have gotten. I mean, I don't like saying it that way, but
you have to wait till
No, we get it.
I mean, that's my point. So baseball just doesn't work in Tampa, and even if the Rays are the best team in baseball the next 3 years, they're not going to sell out. Especially if we get fans again, they're not going to sell out because people don't care about baseball down there. There will be more people at the Super Bowl with 20% capacity this year than there will be at a Rays World Series game.
Yeah. Yep. And that's saying
20% capacity, by the way. This is not like a full-ass stadium.
No.
20% capacity in pods.
It sounds like you barely thought about this, Neil. You just don't think about this.
No, this was completely on the spot, right?
Oh my God.
Not that I have anything against
Lexi, honestly, he knows what he signs up for every week. Just saying. But anyway.
You know what you sign up for every single week. I know what you're talking about. You know what you sign up for.
I do.
You asked me for my opinion, and I gave you my opinion.
I get it.
But anyway. Now, that's my point.
Anyway, so just to quickly wrap things up here, let's get into a little bit of a football discussion here, shall we? So obviously,
I did just get news, by the way, that apparently a New York Giants player has tested positive for the coronavirus.
Will Hernandez. I just found out who it was. So he is isolating as we speak.
Yeah, and then the whole offensive line is going to be quarantined against the Bucs.
Oh goodness gracious! Here we go.
It's Tampa, and it's Tampa too.
Here we freaking go. All right. Anyway, so actually that leads me.
Antonio Brown is playing too, by the way.
What's that?
Antonio Brown is playing too, I think.
Not this week. Week 9.
Oh thank God! Oh, we don't have to deal with that.
His suspension ends this week, but he's not eligible this week. He'll be playing week 9.
Is he really not? How is it end? Oh, it ends at the end of the season.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't have to worry about Antonio Brown this week. But anyway, so yeah, we've already harped on how bad the Giants and Jets are this year. I mean, it's inevitable. It's just the whole division
I was
itself.
My dad, because I am a lowly Jets fan.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
My brain hurts.
But this is more. I mean, my grandfather was a Jets fan. My dad was a Jets fan. I worked for the Jets for 2.5 years, so it was kind of. It's not going away anytime soon. I've got the shirts, so I'm just gonna be a fan. But I was talking to my dad, and he was like, you know what? Maybe the coronavirus could help us. Like, just someone gets it, and then we just are done.
God,
that is so morbid. But
well,
also,
that hurts.
Not winning anything is, pretty sad too. But,
well, that hurts. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
But no,
it probably does help them that no fans can be in attendance.
Well, from that perspective, yeah.
Because Yeah, at least at MetLife, because there's, I mean, one less thing you have to worry about. And that's
especially if you're a Giants fan too.
Fans that are just sad and show up with the buckets on their hats. I'm not excited. I don't think
people are waiting for. This is what the Jets fans are hoping for. That
I'm not hoping for that. I'm absolutely not.
Not gonna happen.
I'm tired of it. Well, I think we need to start. This is what I think. Now I'm getting upset. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go.
Oh boy! All right.
Feel like
this is why you bring Jets fans on the podcast. This is why you bring Jets fans on, because you have a lot to say and a lot of pain.
I just don't understand why Jordan Jenkins is the veteran player for the Jets. He got drafted in 2015. He is all but, I think, 8 months older than I am. So how can someone who is a veteran on your team that's only been there for 5 years feel protected when they keep drafting the wrong people, when the coaching decisions are freaking abysmal? Because Jordan Jenkins is the one that has said, like, we as players are not being protected by our staff. Nobody's looking out for us. Nobody is taking care of us. Like, so how are we supposed to do our job and do our job well when nobody is looking out for us? That's just bad. That's bad management. And I just feel like they need to stop focusing on their players and getting new people in, because prime example, Le'Veon Bell, you got him in. We were all excited, and what happened? Absolutely freaking nothing. And he's already doing more. He's giving more production to the Chiefs.
And Adam Gase didn't like him in the first place, so there you go.
This is a joke.
Exactly. So
Absolute
I think the time is now where they need to, knock it off. Sam Darnold still hasn't done enough to show us that he is a bad decision. I still think, granted, I remember back in 2018, I thought that it was going to be Josh Rosen. I'm glad that we got Sam Darnold over Josh Rosen as I'm looking back on it, because I think Sam Darnold has been able to be more of a franchise player for the team, to be able to be there for the team, because even with absolutely no one protecting him out on the field, with an absolutely awful offensive line, he is still showing us that he is an elite quarterback. So I do not think that having Trevor Lawrence be drafted is a good idea, because he's still going to be in his rookie contract, and they're going to draft someone else for what? Just because he's there? Doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense.
Exactly. I don't mean to cut you guys off. I don't mean to cut you guys off. I apologize, but that is exactly the argument that I have made with Sam Darnold and with Daniel Jones as well. Do both quarterbacks need to be better? Of course, they need to be better.
No, stop. Enough. Daniel Jones sucks. Daniel Jones sucks, and you know it.
Stop.
Stop.
With an abysmal offensive line and no weapons?
Yeah, they said that about Eli.
Oh my! Stop.
People thought that Eli was terrible. Like, this is my
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll just say this and I'll just say this and I'll leave it alone. I promise.
No, you won't. Shut up.
I will leave it alone after this. I promise you.
Wyatt.
Daniel Jones, the turnovers are a problem. Yes, I will say it over and over again until I am blue in the face. They are a problem. And if they are not fixed, some changes are going to be made. I'm not denying that. No question. I am still not giving up on this kid. I'm sorry. He needs more help than what he already has. He has nothing. He has a tight end who can't catch the football. He has an abysmal offensive line. And quite frankly, he's in his second. He has a new coaching staff that he's still not used to yet. So what more do you want from the kid? I'm sorry.
Can I just say this? Daniel Jones has more turnovers than Jamarcus Russell.
Oh my
in 2 years.
God! Stop!
Oh,
Stop!
I don't want to hear anything.
Stop!
Jimmy,
Stop! No,
Jimmy.
you just lost all credibility. Why would you bring him up on the same stage as Daniel Jones?
Jimmy, how many times this year alone? Just listen to me. How many times this year alone has Daniel Jones had the damn football in his hands with a chance to go win the game, and he single-handedly lost them the game?
Oh my!
Throwing a stupid interception, fumbling the football. On that, against the Eagles on Thursday night, this is what happened. Daniel Jones had 7 seconds to throw a small 2-yard pass to a wide-open Evan Ingram. And by the time he realized it, he got hit, fumbled the football, Giants lost. Okay? Like, this is my point. Daniel Jones can throw one hell of a football. He can. The problem is that
and he's mobile.
Yes. Oh, yeah, he's mobile. That's why he tripped on the 10-yard line.
Oh my God, stop.
Come on, bro. Like, this is the problem. Now, can I go back to the Jets?
Please.
Talk about the Giants. Talk about the Jets.
Lexi, I apologize you had to hear that, but I had to get that out there. I'm sorry.
First of all, let me explain. This book, do you see this book right here? This book. I wrote this book. This is about the Jets. This is pain. It's titled Pain, Pain, Pain for a reason. This book specifically talks to you about why the Jets are the way that they are. So first of all, please go buy my book. I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, please.
That. So we'll leave that. Gonna bring up that background again. Hold on, just stay with me. Stay with me.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the thing. You want to blame somebody for the Jets' misery? You blame the damn owners because they don't care about winning. And I'm tired of everyone saying, "Oh, Christopher Johnson wants to win. He just doesn't know how to." That's a lie. That has been a lie, and it will continue to be a lie. And you know what? I hate saying this, and I'm not going to be political here, but I'm going to walk a fine line. Woody Johnson. Do you know who he works for right now?
The President of the United States.
The President of the United States. Shouldn't that tell you a lot right then and there? Oh, and then they brought up all these things that Woody Johnson apparently has been doing as the Jets owner. A little bit of that, little bit of those inappropriate things. Doesn't that seem like a classic Jets thing to have happen? Then you go into this year, and you somehow think that the Jets are going to be better than a 7-9 record last year when they played against a bunch of abysmal teams, and they were the first team in NFL history to lose to two winless franchises.
The Dolphins and the Bengals.
Damn season. Sam Darnold is a very talented quarterback. He can be a very good quarterback in this league, just not with the Jets. The Jets trade him to the Colts for nothing.
The Colts?
Yes, the Colts need a franchise quarterback. It's not Phillip Rivers, and you know that.
Oh,
Phillip Rivers is like 37? That man's going to retire in the next 2 years.
Fair.
Sam Darnold needs to go somewhere where he won't die. Sam Darnold, the more that he stays on the Jets, the more he will die. He's already dying. When was the last time a football player got diagnosed with mono? When was the last time that actually happened? Legit. No,
I can't recall, seriously.
Never. It's because it never happens. It only happens to the Jets. And the Jets are what, 0-7 or 0-6? I already forgot it at this point. What are they?
0-7.
I don't even know.
0-7.
0-7.
Oh my God.
0-7.
And I'm sorry, they're stirring 0-8 right in the face because they're playing the Chiefs, and they are not beating Kansas City. And
Lexi, I'm really sorry, but the Jets piss me off, and I'm not even a fan of them. The Jets piss me off because they get all this coverage for being the most lousy, sorry-ass excuse for a football franchise I have ever seen in my entire life, and I'm 23 years of age. I'm going to have a stroke by the time I'm 30 because of this team.
Oh my God.
Honestly. Here's the thing. The Jets played the Bills last week, right? And everyone thought the Jets were going to get killed, which they didn't actually.
Which was a shocker.
But they were up 10-0. 10-0.
Yes.
And the Bills looked like crap. Absolute garbage.
Yep.
Why was that? Because Adam Gase decided to relinquish his play calling duties to the offensive coordinator, who I don't even know who that is, but nonetheless. Second half comes, they look like garbage again. Why? Because Adam Gase, being the offensive genius that he is like, no, I'm going to, we need to make a few changes here, so I'm going to do this and do that. They end up losing. Adam Gase is the worst coach in Jets history. He is worse than Rich Kotite. Nobody can argue that. Nobody. Not a single person. You mean to tell me that the last great coach the Jets had was Rex Ryan? Is that really what we're going for? Because Adam Gase is not even good as an offensive coordinator. The last 5 seasons, his offensive rankings, 31st, 32nd, 28th, 29th, 32nd. How is he an offensive genius? This just proves that the Jets ownership does not care. So if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm staying the hell away from New York.
Thank you.
You're doing 4 years. Yeah, you're doing 4 years.
Unless, to be honest, if the Giants have the first overall pick, which is unlikely because let's face it, the Jets are not going to win a game.
No.
But if the Giants somehow had the first overall pick, then I would consider it. Because here's the thing. At least the Giants, to an extent, are trying to figure it out.
True.
They just have a terrible general manager. The Jets have a terrible coach. The Giants have a terrible manager. We both want him fired. It's probably going to happen with one of them. More likely the Giants. Because if the Jets go 0-16, which I think is very likely, they go 0-16, and Adam Gase is still the head coach, that will tell you everything you need to know about the
Right.
Everything. And Trevor Lawrence, my guy, dude, you're the best college football player in the game right now. Stay in college, play at Clemson, go win another national championship, maybe go try to win another Heisman if you don't win it this year, and just stay the hell away from New York and pull an Eli Manning if you have to. Just say, I don't want to play for the Jets. Send me to Jacksonville or Minnesota for all I care. But
Jacksonville could use some quarterback help. Not to knock Minshew, but still.
All the Jets have to do. You want to simplify it? Here's what you do. You fire Adam Gase like right now in the next 5 seconds. You fire him, make Greg Williams the coach, lose the rest of your games, and then bring in a competent person. Maybe an Eric Bieniemy. That would make sense. Look what Eric Bieniemy's doing with Patrick Mahomes right now. You don't mean to tell me that he can't do the same thing with Trevor Lawrence? I mean, come on here.
And again, I will say, that man deserves a head coaching job in the NFL.
He does.
It's a crime that he hasn't gotten one yet.
But the bottom line of this entire thing is this. All the Jets know is pain. They've known this since 1969 when Joe Namath signed a deal with the devil to win a Super Bowl. And since that point, the Jets have never gotten back to the Super Bowl, and they are not going to get any closer because as long as the ownership continues to remain the same, it won't change. So unless a miracle comes and the ownership decides, I want to win, and actually tries, Jets fans, you're going to get played for you're going to get played for a fool because you're going to have this false hope that's not going to mean anything. You went 7-9 last year. That's great. But you beat a bunch of piss-poor teams, including the Giants last year, who were also terrible, who had, I think, 3 wins last year. But you lost to the winless Dolphins almost twice, and you lost to the Bengals, who weren't even trying to win. They weren't even trying, and they had Jeff Driscoll as their quarterback. And Jeff Driscoll, who I don't even think is in the league anymore.
No.
So the Jets are the Jets. It won't change. I don't even know who they're playing this week.
The Chiefs.
Oh,
I literally said this 5 minutes ago.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet that Le'Veon Bell rushes for 200 yards?
It's going to happen.
Exactly what's going to happen.
They're going to tell Edwards Helaire, you know what, my guy? You just sit this one out. This isn't about you. This is about Le'Veon. We're just going to run the foot. Like I would tell Patrick Mahomes, my guy, you're not throwing a single pass. And if you are, it's going to Le'Veon. Every play. I would tell the Jets off defensive line, it's coming right at you every single play. And there isn't a damn thing you can do to stop it. I mean, who is the best player on this Jets team right now? Who? Give me one name. Barrios? Is it Barrio? Are we is that what we're going for? Is it Joe Flacco? Is it Jet Flacco? Or is that our best?
Oh my God,
bro, it's that bad.
Oh.
It's that bad, and it's just it's so terrible.
Lexi, if you want to add on to this, please feel free. We're sorry that you had to deal with us ranting for the past 5 minutes.
No, thank you guys for letting me hang in here for today. I really do appreciate it.
Can I have the audio of this entire thing, by the way?
Yes, you'll get it. This is going on Mofobo today. I'm too tired. No, see, I have burned out all of my energy because of this. Oh my God.
Asked me to talk about the World Series Game 6. I got mad. You bring up the Jets, which is always a no-no, Jimmy. You never bring it up when you're in my presence.
Oh my God.
And this is what happens. You get this. You get this sorry excuse for a franchise.
Let's see. If you just want to add something to wrap things up, please go ahead.
My boyfriend is a Chiefs fan because he comes from Missouri, so I've been able to not be completely depressed the entire time.
Hey. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh my God. And what a great way to wrap things up. Neil catches fire. Lexi had fun listening. That's the bottom line.
Brought in Kirk Cousins. Okay.
Oh my God.
Think about that. Oh my God.
Would he have done any better with that porous line? I don't think so.
Bro, he would still not have a playoff win.
Exactly my
He
point.
wouldn't even get the playoffs. But
Exactly my point.
Jimmy, real quick, what is your prediction for Sunday?
For the Chiefs Jets game?
Yes.
Oh, what do you think? The Chiefs are gonna blow them out the water? Like,
what's the score? Give me a score.
I don't know, like 43 to 7. 43 to 7.
You actually gave the Jets points. I'm shocked.
Yes.
I'm shocked.
It's not like they're not going to score. They're going to score. But they're going to get blown out of the water. Are you kidding me?
Who is Sam Darnold throwing the football to?
Oh, my.
Fine. Do you think Frank Gore is going to rush for like 100 yards? I mean, how?
When Frank Gore is your best rusher, no disrespect because he's going to the Hall of Fame, but when he's your best rusher, that pretty much just sums it up.
Forget rusher; he's your best player. Frank Gore. Lexi,
true.
do you have a prediction?
I think it'll be 58-3. They're gonna get a field goal. I see no.
Who is their kicker?
Yeah.
Who is their kicker? I don't even know who their kicker is now.
I think he's still the Australian kid. His name's escaping me right now.
Because remember when they had that
Sam
other
Ficken?
guy?
Not Ficken.
Oh no,
not Ficken. Okay, not
no, they
Ficken.
do have, no, it is Sam Ficken.
No, wait.
It is Ficken.
Stand by.
I believe
Stand
it
by.
is Ficken. I believe
Interesting.
the guy from
But
Pitt-
nevertheless, I don't think we'll see anything from their offense. I think we'll get a healthy field goal.
38-0. The Jets are not
38-0. Yeah,
happening.
that sounds about right.
No, but like that, I'm just like, look, I'm sorry to dominate the whole rant there, but it just team frustrates me.
No need to be sorry. No need.
To give me an aneurysm.
And you're not even a fan.
That's but I live with fans of the Jets. I wrote a book about this team and it pissed me off.
Oh my
Writing
God.
the book angered me. That's the only thing that might be worse is being a Knicks fan. Might.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've got on our tangents about the Knicks. We don't have to go on a whole tangent about that again.
Who knows?
I'll have to come on another show to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, there you go, Lexi.
Yeah.
And on that fiery note, that will wrap it up for this episode of the Bottom Line Podcast. If you have any thoughts on anything we discussed, but please do not piss off Neil anymore. Let us know on Twitter at BottomLineWMCX.
You have like a grind my gears segment of every episode now. I just completely
please. Just be like Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Like, you know what grinds my gears?
America.
Anyway, that'll wrap it up for this episode. Like I said, if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed, but again, do not piss off the bear. Let us know on Twitter and Instagram at BottomLineWMCX and on Twitter at the NVP Show, #BottomLine. Leave a voice message on Anchor, the app, or at anchor.fm. And please leave a like and a comment down below. Helps out tremendously. And please make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss a single episode. And please subscribe on all audio listening platforms. Just include Jimmy when searching for this podcast. Lexi, before we wrap things up, how can people listen to you and how can people find out more about you?
Yeah, so we are Sports Radio 96.5. We're in a total revamp of our website. So right now you can find us at WTAR.com or you can just search Sports Radio 96.5 Hampton Roads and it should pop up. We have a listen live button. We also have a Sports Radio 96.5 app that you can always listen to as well.
Very, very nice. Well, hey, listen, Lexi, I'm sorry that you had to deal with ranting for the last God how knows how many minutes of this show, but seriously, we can't thank you enough for coming on. It was really, really amazing catching up with you, and we will definitely have you back on again in the future. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much.
Of course, it was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to have you. She is Lexi Swat. You heard where you can find her. For Neil Villapiano, I'm Jimmy Finizzi. This is the Bottom Line Podcast. See you in the next episode. And again, don't piss off the bear. Peace out. Have a great rest of your week.